Well, it's pretty blue out today. Windy as usual on the farm. But yes, my name is Jennifer and I live on a wheat farm. And it's really cool because I got tons of space out here. Lots of solitude. Pretty isolated, which is neat. But not. I'm like not far from towns. It's just like quiet except for the wind. Get lots of wind. It could be kind of hard living out here because it's an unmaintained, county maintained road it's on, and it goes to shit real quick, and my poor little car that I was trying to clean last night gets destroyed. Among it just being a really old farmhouse and grounds that the house resides on, which is beautiful property being out in wheatland country, but then that's also environmental. It can be rough with the dust and the dry and the dusty and lots of dirt, lots of mud. And I got dogs, and I'm gracious because I can have dogs here, as many as I want, and the landowners don't mind. They love it. They love knowing that it's good for dogs to have room to run and be playful and get in raccoon fights. That was rough. That's been a couple times. Porcupines, yummy. Oh boy, good times. Among just it being an old house, drafty old windows, but it's a cute farmhouse. So it's just like this kind of like balance. And I put up with a lot, like my kitchen sink filling up with water when I do laundry. You just prepare. You just make sure you don't have like a fresh basket of strawberries in the sink when you do laundry, because I've learned that lesson. Anyways, it's worth dealing with a lot. I also deal with a lot emotionally and mentally, spiritually. I collide and I clash inside a lot and get really frustrated and overwhelmed and rage, and that comes from trauma a lot. But that's also the reason I came here on this property. I'm here because I was there. Every reason I'm here is because I was there and dealt with a complex incident that very tragic incident that induced trauma. That I had the unfortunate experience of witnessing my partner's suicide. I lived very close, so there was this layer effect of losing someone to suicide is tragic and traumatic, no matter who's associated, to the people, surviving it. The survivors, those family, friends, acquaintances, everybody is affected traumatically and tragically. And then this layer of witnessing it and dealing with it and doing the 911 and being investigated and such, and then moving and changing jobs and moving and changing jobs and I moved a few times, changed jobs, moved here, changed jobs. Anyways, it's been a journey for 4 years, and when you think you're okay and time has passed, you realize it's not that long, and then the dates hit and you just kind of lose it. And with so much trauma, experiencing so much trauma, and it wasn't just that day it happened and that's it. Trauma is trapped energy, and it takes time to process depending on how much it impacts you, what happened. I've had quite a journey of emotions that I did some writing early on to preserve those emotions that I was going through, because I knew that they would evolve and I would grow and I would learn, and I have. But times get rough, and so there's this thing about like suicide loss survivors, you know, suicide prevention, and those exposed to it, and those who have lost others to it, and those who have shared their journeys. That I did a lot of reading and research and was grateful for those who shared or those who offered support, and it helped me. And so I'm choosing to share mine for the same reason. And then there's this side of just along my learnings of not even those who are exposed to trauma by suicide, but just trauma, and how deep some of those are that people I've come into their paths along the way, or them into mine, and whether it's grief of losing someone or a car accident, and all kinds of like tragedy and trauma. And you go, wow, there's a lot of us. And geez, understanding it and finding wisdom in it, and being exposed to the suffering through it, and then coming out of it. And I know I'm having a good day or a good week when things are kind of easy to me. Like I can go and do chores and get the firewood and get the groceries and clean the house and do the yard work and do the garden and play with the dogs and take care of the dogs and take care of everything and be okay. Like I can do it. I'm strong and keep up my workouts and whatever. And when things get hard inside and they build and they build and they build, it pokes that trauma. So I go, yep. And those who I know that I'm close to or have at least become acquainted to, we could share that. That's like something we kind of share and commensurate each other with and validate each other with. And if I can help share mine on both suicide exposure and just exposed to trauma and dealing with it, processing it, and I can share my own, connect with others. We're okay if we're not okay, and it's okay to not be okay. You're gonna be okay, and there will be a day where you're okay and days you're not. Awareness. Sharing is awareness, and I'd like to do that. Anyways, that's the start of the story, and I'm gonna shut up now because it's over 10 minutes, and that's the intro. Greetings, fellow YouTube watchers and YouTubers. Welcome to my garden. Getting it going a little late this year, but that's because of the rollover accident that I was in. I actually didn't think I'd be able to get this garden going, but because of my wonderful friend who has been just helped get things ready yesterday for me to just be able to put seeds in. So gonna continue being out in the sun and getting my hands in the soil. I know is therapeutic. If one enjoys that, that's very therapeutic. Hands in the soil. So I'm just finishing up. I just need to plant some flowers and carrots, but otherwise I've got herbs and all kinds of greens and beets and onions and leeks and peas and cucumbers, and kind of I do a little of everything. I don't do very well out here because I don't want to spend a lot of money to put into the soil because I rent, and it just doesn't seem economical to spend money in good soil. So I deal with like a clay soil, but I do a little amending on things that I find, like free resources, straw. I find a lot of straw bales broke on the side of the road, which is kind of cool. Just pick them up. Bark, I don't know, just things. I try to just use free resources to amend the soil so it's not so hard, and to do a topper on it. So this year I tried what I found on another YouTuber's channel, The Lazy Gardener, I believe she's called, or I think it's Anne of all trades, and she refers to it as The Lazy Gardener, I think. And not doing exactly what she instructed, but I just had these resources, so I thought I'd try something similar, keep the weeds down and the water retention of the soil a little better, because I don't do too well out here, and then I get a lot of bugs because when they harvest or treat the fields around it, pretty much I get like a big influx. The wheat fields or legume, I get a big influx of insects and mice, and so then they come in my garden. Anyways, we're just finishing it. I'm really glad to know that the garden is in, because that gives me something to do in the evenings. A friend of mine calls it weed, water, and wait. Pull the weeds, water, and wait, and see everything come up. And I hope that I get a little more success this year. But I'm glad that this was able to happen. So I'm very grateful for my friend's help. And so this is post-accident. Yeah, so the next 2 videos are just clips of life before the accident, which is just stuff that I do around my house, my farm, do around the farm, and just introductory, I guess. And then the rest is gonna be, I guess, my niche on learning how to live without alcohol and just discovering that, the journey, and knowing that there's life out there better than boozing. I don't have anything against alcohol, really, except for what I've allowed it to cause in my life. That's what I have against it, is what I've allowed. The levels I've taken it to in consumption. And so, life without alcohol. Hope to see you there. So, got one more row. Kind of hurting. And gonna take some water break here and think about normally, like, gardening. Have to have a bucket or bucket of ice or cooler, put some beer and wine in it, and be out in the garden, or just doing other things around the yard, or at least afterwards, getting to the end, like, okay, I'm wrapping things up, go get a drink, the fridge, come out, finish, maybe chill out and drink more. So it's like the norm. That's the norm, and that's what has to now be different. And how to do that, it's going to be a journey and a learning struggle, learning curve, a challenge, a change of life, like change of paradigm shift and rewiring in the brain. Like, whoa, it's going to be a lot. So I got to take it on. Like, I'm accountable to, saying enough's enough. So speaking forth about that, and then encouraging others to maybe take that leap too, and at least for some time period, in depending on where you're at with alcohol in your own life, but a time period break of just like 30 days, even if you can do it. I've struggled so hard to just take breaks, and for a while I was take 4, 5, 6 days dry and then drink, and I think that's like worse. Up and down emotionally and mentally, and I'm like, oh, forget it, I might as well drink every day. But then that's not making sense anymore in my life either, and back and forth, up and down with it, and then a drunken accident. So let's just do this then and see what's out there and explore. So yeah, it's a journey. It's going to be a journey, but I want it to be fun and enlightening and full of discovery of life without it. It's got to be out there. I know plenty of people have stepped off that, or gotten on the wagon, stepped on the wagon, right? And stay on the wagon, and if you want to put it that way, or however you want to put it, stepped into that enlightenment, finding some clarity without alcohol, let alone trouble. Yeah. So, move forth. So this year, after my accident, I'm thinking about gardening, going, oh gosh, putting seeds in, and I definitely didn't need to till anything. My friend did all the turning of the beds and getting them ready, putting in trenches so I could just put seed in. So gracious. But this year I bought this, it's kind of, I think it's a cheap one. It's a cedar. It's just a little hopper. And you got little dials around for your seed. Yeah, it gets a little sticky. I just got it on Amazon. It was pretty cheap. We got 2 of these and then 2 little like plunger things on a spring. So I just shared the other half of them with my friend. The only problem I find is that when you pull the top off and you go to put your seed in, it can kind of get stuck in this little, just where the corner of that goes, the little gutter. Seed will get stuck in there. It's kind of a pain. You gotta pick it out and hopefully not flick the whole thing and throw your seed everywhere. So maybe one day I'll get a better one, but this one works for now. I just tap and the seed comes out, and not trying to use your fingers. I don't know if it's any better, but it's worth a try. It's like $9 on Amazon. But time to put in some carrots. I did have some come back early this year from last year's planting, so I'm really happy about that because they didn't come up last year, and then really I had only like a couple, and then even some daisies I had planted. Hi, Cac. Oh, sweet babies. Yes. So some lupins, but yeah. There's some in. That's a lot. Uh-oh. Whoops. I just got a big chunk of dirt in there. Jesus. Now I'm probably going to dish seeds out. Gosh. Okay, I think on one. Carrots. Something. We'll see. Yeah. We'll see. Some people say they can't grow carrots around here, and I do. I don't have a lot of carrots, so. I'll eventually get it done. I guess I kind of just discovered that like the carrot seeds were too big for one almost, but too small for 2. But if you tilt it just a little to the side, see the seeds just get stuck in the gutter, that helps. Just as you're tapping it, just tilt the thing to the side instead of straight down, then that would help. One more. My underwear showing.